Hey everybody, it's Jesse, and I'm at home today, and I'm trying to stream. I set my settings for OBS down as low as I could, and still try to keep 720p resolution. So we'll see how this goes. I'm not dropping any frames so far, so maybe this will work out. And today I'm working on a coding puzzle. So I have a job interview coming up on Thursday of this week. Today's Saturday, so I guess it's next week. But my wife took the kids to the library so I could work on this. So I thought, why not stream a little bit while I work on it? I kind of wondered whether or not I should stream this coding puzzle, but people already put the puzzle on GitHub and all their answers, so I figure, it's already out there. If people really wanted to try to cheat and copy someone's answer, I'm sure they'd get caught. So I don't think there's going to be a problem with it. So I'm just going to explain quickly what I'm trying to do and then work on it. If anybody ends up watching and you want to comment in the live chat, I'll try to keep an eye on that. But otherwise, I'm just going to kind of narrate a little bit and do more coding, maybe just some thinking out loud. And yeah, so let's get started. Right now, I'm just making a little command line tool that creates an array for seats. So like the number of seats that you might have in an event, and then you can input seats that you want to reserve, and you can also say like, hey, I want 5 seats in a row, and it'll give you the best 5 seats in a row that are still available. So I've gotten to the point now where it can make the array of seats. I can save seats individually, but right now I'm working on the part where I can just say, hey, I want 5 seats in a row, and it will automatically check for those seats and give me the best seats if that's available in an option. So I'm going to make this a little bigger. I'm going to try to make it a little bigger. There we are. That way, even if the quality is a little lower than normal, hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing here. So I started the stream right in the middle of me making these nested for loops. And hey, Jarvis, how's it going? Yeah, so I'm taking, so for the seating chart, I just have an array of arrays. So the first, so each row is its own array, and then each item in that row is a seat. So it's like rows and columns. So that's this first array that I'm looping through, each row. And then within each row, I want to loop through each seat. So here's how I think I'm going to do it. I'm really kind of not worried about optimizing it at this point. I just want to get it to work, and then I can go back through. So I'm sure there's a better way to do this. Even for looping through, I know there's better ways to do this. So let me think. Let's go through. So I need to check to see if the seats are together. That's the thing that's really getting me right now, is I can't just check to see how many seats are available in a given row. I need to actually see if the seats are next to each other. But it might not be a bad idea to just check how many seats are available in that row, just to see. Yeah, let's do that first, because potentially we could just skip calculating how many seats are together in a row if like let's say I want 5 seats, but I know row 1 only has 1 seat left. I just skip it, right? And then I don't do the more in-depth calculation of figuring if the seats are actually right next to each other. So let's do that first. So for this loop, we're going to return null if I wonder if I could do that up here for number length. Yeah, I could probably do that up here. Let's already have this loop going on. So the if, so I got this for loop going and I have an if, and it's saying if the number of seats I request is greater than the entire length of the row, let's return false. And then let's also add another one to say, this is if for, oh, you know what? I was already in this for loop and I didn't even realize it. See, I ended this code a few days ago and then didn't come back to it until now. And so I didn't even realize I already opened that for loop. So let's get rid of this loop. And there we are. So our if statement's closed now. You don't like that space there. We'll enter. Oops. More spaces. Okay, so I guess we'll do another if here. And we'll move this. Let's move this up here. Oops. I want to make a. I'm going to try to comment this as much as possible, and then it'll be more helpful to the people that'll be reviewing this. That way they'll know what each part of the code does. So let's say skip to the next row if alright, so we're going to skip to the next row if there's not enough available seats. So let's do if, and we need to do, so right now the array contains a 1 if the seat's taken, otherwise it's a 0. So we need to look at the zeros. So I'm going to look up on my other screen, I'm going to look up how we find the number. So I think can I do dot find and get the number? I'm going to look up this array method. So I know index of will find a 0, but it'll just tell me obviously the index of. So I don't want that. I want the number. What's the value of the first element array? Alright, and find will give me the value of the first method in the array. Hey Harshit, how's it going? I just saw your message in the live chat. I got your pull request. I saw the email notification for that, so I probably won't take a look at it until Monday. Um, let's see how many times. Yeah, maybe we can do a filter. Yeah, yeah. All right, let's do this. So we're gonna say if the array, that particular array, so that row, and we're gonna do a dot filter, and and I'm getting this. I'm not making this up off the top of my head. This is something in Stack Overflow. It's not exactly what we want, but I think I can modify it, so it'll be close enough. So what I want is array.filter, and we'll do if item equals oops, equals 0, and then length is less than number of seats. There we go. I'll explain that in a second in case it's not clear what's happening. And maybe it won't even work. We'll see. Then we want to if items. Actually, what do we want to do? We want to I guess there is not long enough comment to request. Alright. I may have to switch this around. Harshit says this is ridiculous. Do you mean my code is ridiculous? Yeah, I was just kind of thinking the same thing as I was looking at it. Yeah, I don't know if you were here when I said this, but I did this code. Actually, it's probably been a week. So a week ago, I did part of this code, and then I just tried to pick it up this morning, and I totally lost the idea what I was trying to do, even though I had commented it. So basically, at this point, I need to figure out. So I have an array of arrays, and then I need to figure out if I give a number, like let's say 5. I would need to be able to reserve each a consecutive amount of items in that array. Like, so assuming each item in the array is a seat, I need to be able to change the 0 to a 1 for each seat, and then return the seat numbers. So like row 1, seat 5, like, so tell people what seat numbers they actually have reserved. So anyway, so that's what I'm trying here. So I'm doing some checks. So you can't, right now, like, you can't reserve more than 10 seats, and you can't, obviously, if you ask for more seats than there are seats in a row, that's not going to work. So now my check is, well, if there are, let's say there are only 5 seats in a row, 4 of them are taken and you want 2 seats, well, that's not going to work either. So anyway, that's where I'm at right now. Let's see. And for the problem, it can all be done just like in the terminal, but I may want to actually make a front end for this. Because I think it would be easier for most people to use than the terminal. That's 0 index. I don't want to say row 0, so we'll do a plus I plus 1. I don't think I need these, but for it to work, but it'll make it be obvious to somebody reading this what that does. Okay. So let's just say I just want to run this and see if I've totally messed it up, because it did run before I started all this. So let's see. So that's why I'm doing that, but I still have a problem. What's my problem here? Space after. Okay. For what's this? Return a range of seats or not available. The seats open, reserve seats. Alright. I don't know that it'll run. Yeah, so I have some stuff like this that I haven't done anything with yet. I can make this though pretty easily. This is just going to say the total number of seats remaining. So we're going to pass in the array, which is just going to be the array of arrays, which is going to contain like zeros and ones. And we're just going to need to, let's do what we did up here. Filter. So we need to do something like this again. And we need to do it for all the arrays. So let's see. I think we can actually map for this. So let's go map array dot map, and then we're going to call this row. So each row is going to be Let's go row dot filter. Whoops, there we go. Oops, row dot filter item equals length. All right, let's get rid of this. Oops. Accidentally got rid of that last curly bracket. Okay. So now we have array map row. So we're going through each row, and then for each row, we're using filter to find out which items are equal to 0. So filter will return another array that only has the items that equal 0. So we're getting the length of that array. So this will give us the length. This will give us the number of empty seats in each row. So as we map over this, let's go with open seats. So let's let open seats equal, at first it's just going to be 0. And then every time we go through that, it's going to say open seats equals open seats plus that. Alright, let's see if that works. And it's upset here because I haven't used this anywhere. So let's find somewhere to use it. Find seats. Alright, so this is where we're reserving seats, and we need to, what's we need to do? Oops, not it. Seats remaining, and we need to pass in new array, right? And whoops, I think I got rid of the wrong thing. Did I? No. Okay. There we go. Seats remaining, pass in new array. And so now what should happen is we need to console log seats, oops, open seats, and let's say mathy, yeah, I'm gonna say mathy. Hey, how's it going? Says I'm very basic in JS. Hey, that's cool. The stuff I'm doing is actually just a lot of basic array stuff today, so probably can follow along a little bit. So feel free to ask any questions. Alright, so seats remaining array that open seats. Alright, so we got that console log going, and let me see. I also want to do seats remaining here, but in this case we're just going to use the array. We're going to pass in the array, So every time someone makes a request, we're supposed to tell them, no matter what, whether the request is fulfilled or not, we need to tell them how many seats are left. Harshit asks, so you need to reserve consecutive seats? Yeah, so if somebody asks for a certain number of seats, they have to be consecutive. And also, we need to use Manhattan distance, which I've imported this NPM package already to automatically calculate Manhattan distance for us. It's not that hard to calculate, but I thought it would just be a little less cluttered if we just import this. So like potentially if there are several places in our seating area that could fit that number of seats consecutively, we only want to assign them to the seats that are the best, assuming that the front row middle seat is the best. Whatever is the closest in terms of Manhattan distance or what we're going to use. Alright, but I have... Yeah, I actually want to... I haven't run this for a while, so I just want to run it and see... Whoops. Node... Index. How many rows? Let's say we have 5 rows and 5 seats. And it says, what row is the seat in that you would like to reserve? Row 1. What seat would you like to reserve in this row? Let's say seat 2. Alright, now I just returned the chart again, showing me that here it is. Oh, okay, you know what though? I need to change these. These are 0 index right now, so I said row 1, but it actually showed up in row 2. So we need to account for that. So, we don't want users having to think about 0 index. Matthew says, what software are you using? This is Visual Studio Code as my editor here. And this is just, it's Node.js to be able to run this in the terminal. And I'm also using the package Enquirer to be able to do these questions inside of the terminal like that. Alright, Matt says, I use Atom. I used Atom for a really long time. I recently switched over to Visual Studio Code. I still have Atom installed on all my machines. But everybody kept saying, you got to try Visual Studio Code. It's so fast. So I finally switched over when really I found some packages that worked really well with React. So it was the React Food Truck package, just imports all these different React-related tools. And once I found that, I thought, like, all right, I'll switch. I'll try it out. So I've been using it for a while. I like it. I'm still not quite as familiar with it as I was with Atom, since I used Atom for years. Matthew says, I tried Notepad++. Yeah, that's before I used Atom, I used Notepad++. Matthew says, do you recommend Visual Studio Code? I do. I recommend it, yeah. But I think Atom is also a good option. So if you like Atom and you're comfortable with it, I don't think there's really a big need to switch. But if you're looking to try something new, then I definitely recommend Visual Studio Code. Alright, so what happened here? We did not get a console log from here. So it's supposed to run seats remaining, new array. And what should have happened is we should have that should have run and console logged open seats. So at the very least, we should have it should have done this. Okay. Matthew says, I want to find a HTML5 editor that can show errors when you type the false code. All right, well, Adam can do that. It's just a matter of finding the right package. And so can Visual Studio Code. Right now, I get errors that show up in my JavaScript using ESLint, but I'm sure there's some sort of HTML linter that will do the same thing. I don't really know of one offhand, but I'm sure they're out there. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna put a console log at the top of this just to see if it's even being called at all, and I'm just gonna say, yeah, let's just say ran for right now. Just I can't think of a better thing to do, and we'll run this again. I'm just gonna put in same thing we had before. Oh, there it is. Did I miss it last time? Maybe I just forgot to save. Okay, so it did run. Awesome. So you can see, it might be hard to see, but so I'll read it to you. So what happened was it said ran, which was this console log that we can now remove. Definitely don't need that. And then it said open seats 24, which is what we wanted. And then for right now, we don't have to return this, but this is good, like for me visually, to be able to see what's happening. This now says shows where that seat is. So it shows the open seats as zeros and the reserve seats as ones. Very cool. Okay. All right. So now that we have that, I wonder. Maybe I should just commit this now since I got that working. So let's go git status, git add, git commit m. If you're not familiar with GitHub, this is a way to track all the changes you make. So I'm just going to write a little message saying what's changed, and then that'll I can always go back to that point if I screw things up later on. And I'm also going to send this code to GitHub so it'll be publicly available for everyone to look at. And this repository is on my GitHub profile, which is linked from my YouTube channel. And what is it? What did I call it? I can't remember what I called it. Seating something? It's like seating scheduler. I don't know. I need to look it up now since I was trying to tell you all about it. Alright. Node Seating Manager. That's the repository. Node Seating Manager. And I'm going to put that. I don't know if I can change the description of this on the fly while I'm doing it, but we'll see. Yeah, there we go. I'm trying to see if it actually saves. I'm not sure. Alright, not sure. All right. So the message will be, let's go show seats, show number of after so I'm going to do a get push origin, and that's going to push it to my master branch. There we are. So now all that is available on the GitHub repository called Node Seating Manager. And that is under my profile. Okay. So that's another step that's done. Now, back to this. And not only this, but now we need to find a nicer way for users to enter this. So right now, we're asking these questions, and the second set of questions just happen after you create this, but I don't want users to have to go in and recreate this every time. That's not really ideal. Okay. I guess we could, for now at least, just have it so that every time it returns seats remaining, it would then also ask another question, because seats remaining should happen after everything. So maybe, yeah, maybe it could return another question saying, like, how many seats would you like to reserve? Let's see. We got another question. Krillic says, hey Jesse, if someone, not me, knows ES6, Node.js, any database, React, Angular, Redux, and able to create own social network, is this a senior level or less? It says, I'm a noob, by the way. I guess so. And it says, and is able to create their own social network. Yeah, I mean, I would say senior level. Creating your own social network isn't like an easy thing to do. So, yeah, I would say senior. I think the whole classification of like junior and senior dev is like, it's not really well defined. So that the way somebody gets that title is going to be different in every organization. So it's really hard to say. But if you have to ask me without actually seeing any of the work, I would say someone that can do all that is most likely a senior developer. Okay, so let's do this. Let's make another line of questioning. So we have questions 2, and we're just going to make another set of questions, and this is going to be questions 3. And I think we're only going to do one question, and it's going to be another input, and then the name is going to be seats. So that's how we'll be able to grab what's in that input, and it's going to say what is the row. So let's see what it'll be. How many seats would you like? And we'll put a little note that says max of 10. All right, that's part of the requirements for that I've gotten for this problem. So max of 10, and all right, cool. So now what we can do is, for now at least, we're gonna have to change this in a minute, but for now, down here, let's ask about the seats. So where are we at? I want to copy and paste this prompt. Here we go. So we're going to do an Enquirer Prompt, and this isn't built into JavaScript. This is something that the Enquirer npm package lets us do. So here, after this console log, we're going to do questions 3. Okay, so here's what we're doing. We're making a prompt and we're using question 3. So it's going to ask them about how many seats do you want. Then we're going to take the answer, so it returns to us the answers, and we're just naming them answers 3. And we're going to run, in this case, what we're going to end up running is, let's see, optimum seat. Yes, let's get rid of some of this. What do we need? Number of seat, array and number of seats. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to run find seats. That's what we need to run. Find seats. And we need to put in the array should be available. Yes, right? Array. Yeah, since we're inside of this, we're going to pass in the array. And then we're going to pass in number of seats. So that's going to be answers 3 dot seats. So we named it. I think that's what we named it. We can get rid of all of this, and we can get rid of this. At some point, I'm going to quit console logging the seating chart. And what's this problem? No showing spaces. Okay, save that. Hey Blake, how's it going? Harshit asks, have you checked the progress of JavaScript.af? I've been checking in on it. I haven't checked it in a couple days though. I'll have to check it out here. If you haven't heard about the project JavaScript.af, I have the domain name JavaScript.af now, and so we have we're gonna make a, a place for coders. I kind of am shying away from calling it a social network because I think its primary value isn't necessarily going to be the same as most social networks. It's going to be being able to find and find like projects that people are working on, primarily JavaScript projects that are really awesome, that are kind of like, don't get a lot of publicity elsewhere, and being able to, comment about it and give encouragement for those projects. And it's going to have some features like social sites normally do. So there'll be messaging and things like that, being able to follow people. But I think that's what's lacking. GitHub is great, but it's not always that easy to find cool projects. So this is going to be more like that. So hopefully we get this running sometime soon. I haven't been able to do much work on it at all since I've had so many other things going on. Cool. I just checked it on my other screen. Harsh, it is looking cool. I'll have to look through it more. Hopefully after this week I have more time to actually work on it. And then depending on what happens with the new due date for my work project. Alright, so now we have this. Let's just see. Seats. Yeah, let's see how far we can get through here and what we get console log back as we go through. Harshit, Blake said, I'll be back. Alright, cool, Blake. We'll see ya. Harshit says, I'm currently writing code for messaging subscriptions backend. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Alright, let's run this. Oops. I don't expect it to work. I just want to see, like, what message, how far do we get? Do we get an error message? Oops, and I accidentally messed this up, so let's run it again. There we go. There we are. 5, 5, and what row? Yeah, let's go row 3, seats 4. Awesome. Now it should ask me. You should be asking me something. Okay, how many seats would you like? Max of 10. And I didn't see that, so I didn't actually select anything. But you could see it got it to, you made it this far. And then nothing, so it tried to get seat numbers. Awesome. Okay, cool. So we actually did make it through these checks all the way down to here. It did check through everything. So that J made it this far. Great. So it checked through every seat, which is what we wanted it to do. And then what we would do is we would pass in to this seat numbers would be an array created inside of here that would be the seat numbers of the seats that we're going to reserve for the person that's entering this in. So, all right, not bad. Let's try this again then. And I want to reserve seat array row column. Seat numbers 4 letters. So if we haven't already created seat numbers, we need to create that. So let's go. Seat numbers are just going to be an open array for now. seat numbers length, and then reserve seat. This is going to end up being not array, but seat numbers, and I for now. Oh, you know what? No, I am supposed to pass in the array. Alright, so I am going to pass in the array. And then this is going to be a problem. Alright, so here's why it's going to be a problem. Let me think. The seats, the array that it's going to get is going to be this array that's been passed in here, which will be out of date. Alright, it shouldn't matter because we're checking everything beforehand. So I think, so this will actually be okay. I was worried that it would be an out-of-date array and it wouldn't take into account the seats that we reserved, but that shouldn't be an issue. So what we're going to need then is we will need, why is it? Row column. I guess this will be an array of objects for seat numbers. So let's change this. Yeah, let's change this and let's go seat numbers dot map, and then we can go alright, Harsh is saying that the site he's working on is cached on my computer. Try logging in. Alright, I'm logging in right now on my other screen. Okay, I'm in. Alright, so we're going to map over these, and then we're going to say for each item, we're going to say we want to do reserve seat. We want to call reserve seat, and then we're going to do item dot row and item dot column, and then within here, what we want to do is say for array length. So let's say if this seat works is equal to True. This is not like I just need a placeholder right here, so that's what I'm doing. Then what we're gonna do is um, add another element to seat numbers. So, oops, hold on. Harsh, it says you're in. You don't have a bio in GitHub. Bio is null, right one. I don't have a bio in GitHub. I never realized that. Ha, you're right. I don't have a bio in GitHub. Wow. All this time and I never had a bio. Alright, Harshit, I updated my profile. Okay. So then we need to add on. So we'll do, if this is true, then we're going to make an array. So this will be what would be the best way to do this? Let's go seat numbers equals dot 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 row I don't know row. For now, I'm just gonna put in test things. Column 5. Seat numbers. Alright. Is that how we do object destructuring? I can't remember anything this morning. I must be missing something. Oh, is this not even gonna work? Let me look up destructuring. Or I'm sorry, the spread operator. What am I talking about? Harsh says the API return null. I updated my profile. Maybe it just takes a minute. It cut off some of my profile. Oh well, for now it's okay. Actually, maybe it should be like this because it's an array. That'd be better. Alright, let's try that. And I still have this. And I don't know why. Nope, that's even worse. Yeah, Harshit says my bio is up on the site. Cool. So let me just show you all this since I keep talking about it. This is what Harshit's talking about in the live chat here. The JavaScript, what will be JavaScript.af. So here's my profile. I don't know, feed. Let's see what else. I don't know what else is available right now. Oh, cool. We can search. So me and Harshit are here. Search is up. Awesome. I can click. Whoops. Guess that doesn't work right now. That's all right. This is still, it's coming along. Cool. All right. Let's check this out again. All right, so my only problem here is I did something and token declaration of statement instead. I did something here and it's messing this up. So what did I do? Where does this one go? Okay. So this. There we go. Did I mess that up? No, that's not it. Or did I mess this up? See, but if I do that, I get a lot more errors. What's this say? Okay. So now it's saying seat numbers is undefined. Should then we put seat numbers outside of this? Should it be outside of this loop? There we go. Okay, not bad. Hey Nikki, how's it going? Nikki asked if this was announced somewhere. You know what? I didn't announce it anywhere. I was just kind of a last minute thing. I was working on this from home, and I wasn't sure if the stream would be a good quality or not. Although I guess it doesn't say I'm dropping any frames. So I think maybe I finally found the right settings that'll let me do this from home. So I didn't really want to announce it and then have everything not work. So I don't know. Maybe some people got notifications. I assume they would since people are watching. Okay. And Harshit said, oops, not quite yet. Code is ready. Haven't deployed that yet. Okay. It's cool, Harshit. Alright. Man. I'm close. I'm close to this kind of working. Alright, so let's go to the SeatWorks. Alright, so what really needs to happen in here, that's where I need to figure out if the seats are right next to each other. Okay. Alright, so if it's gotten to this point, we already know that it's within, it's 10 seats or less. The rows are long enough to handle that many seats, and there are that many seats actually open in the row. So now we need to figure out how many consecutive seats there are. So I guess what we could do is alright, let's go with if array I. Man, we really could do better than this, couldn't we? Alright, it'll be fine. Dot array I j is equal to 0 and array ij plus 1. Why did I write and? Is equal to 0. I guess first I need to check if it's equal to 0. So if array, why am I doing that 2 times? Let's do that. So first we need to check if this is even equal to 0, or else we can just move on completely. So if the current seat that we're looking at is equal to 0, then let's go in here and let's figure out. So first we're going to do counts equals counts plus 1. So let's make a count equal 0. Okay, so every time we go to, no, do we want it here? We don't want it to be 0 there. For let's, okay, yeah, we want to let count equal 0 here. It's outside of this loop, but it's still within the loop that's going to go through the rows. So every time we go to a new row, the count will reset, which is what we want. And then in here, we're going to say if this seat is equal to 0, then we're going to increase the count by 1. So that was 1 seat we had in a row. And then we're going to say, we're going to put another if statement. So if this seat plus 1, meaning the next seat in the row, is equal to 0, then we can increase. Let's see. If array is equal to 0, if array so that means if that's open or you need to account for it being at the end. Let's say or now we should say or here, because so if the array is equal to 0, we want to count it plus 1, and then we need to go if array I j is not equal to array I dot length, and so we're going to do the and here. So the reason I'm doing the and here is because, so what I want to check for first is, like, if this one that we're currently on, this seat that we're currently on, is actually the last seat in the row, then I don't even want to check for the next seat because it doesn't exist. So this won't even check. So when you're doing like an and, if the first one is false, so we're going to say if it is, actually, do I want to say if it is not equal to, yeah, this is right. So if it's not equal to the end, it's going to say that's going to be true. right? Then it'll go on to this next one, and then we'll check to see if the next one is 0. If so, then we want to do, then I guess we want to just move on, right? Yeah, let's just move on. Can we just return nothing at that point? I guess we could go return null, right? I might not even have to return anything. Oh, extra semicolon. Else, so if it's else, that means either we've hit the end of the row or we've hit a seat that is taken. In that case, we want to check and see if count is let's say greater than or equal to, no, I don't want to say, do we want to say greater than? Let's just say if count is equal to num of seats, then we're going to or then we actually want to do seat number, no, where was it at? Then we want to add two seat numbers. Okay, so we're going to do that in here. Yeah. Okay, so if count number of seats equals, oh man, this is getting tough. All right, let me talk through step by step. That'll help me figure out where I'm at. So we're in a row, and then within that row, we're checking the first seat. If that first seat is empty, then we're going to add 1 to the count. After that, we're going to also check to say, is that first seat the end? Or is the next seat taken? And I messed that up, so we need to say, or is the next seat equal to 1? Because that means taken. Yeah, that's what we want, right? So if it's yeah, I think I messed this up. There we go. So if the seat is the last seat in the row, and that does need to be an or it is the last seat, then we're just going to break out of this, right? And move on to the next one. But before we do that, we want to reset the count back to 0. Okay, because let's say it's this situation that we have it's not the last one in the row, so it's not going to reset to 0 because we're going to a new row, but instead we just have one seat that's taken. Then we don't want to keep counting that counter, right? Because the seats aren't adjacent anymore. Does that make sense? Nikki says, don't want to derail you just for extra chat discussion. Does this sound like a breadth first search thing? I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with that term. So I'm not really sure. Okay, so the count array 0, return null. Alright. So else, that means that the next seat is not taken. If the next seat's not taken, we just pretty much want to continue. So at that point, I don't think we need an else. So we can get rid of this. Because what we really want to do here is say, what we really want to do, I think, at the top of every loop through here, or even at the bottom, at that point, I guess, is just say, okay, Nikki says it's a search algorithm for two-dimensional arrays. It can be configured to skip occupied array entries. Enough derailing, don't mind me. No, that's not derailing. I mean, that might be helpful. If what I'm trying to do here doesn't work, or if it starts to take too long, maybe I'll look that up more. Let's see. All right, so we have these arrays. So down here, I'm going to put if the count equals the number of seats. So if we found the number of adjacent seats that we need, then we need to put these seats. But no, at that point, we actually need to call this. So that's what we need. So let's put that in here. So we're going to need two conditions, I guess. Yeah, we don't need that right now. I was forgetting about the Manhattan distance. So going through the rows like in this way is likely to be the best seats, but I don't know that it's guaranteed to be the best seats. So we still need to check. We still need to check for that. All right, so what we need now are this array, the seat numbers array. So let's put this array in here. and we don't need that right now. We need seat numbers to be, where do we need that to be? Here. So we're gonna build up this array. So the row value is actually going to be array, I, and then the column value is going to be array I, j. It's going to be the seats. Alright, so let's see. Okay. I'm going to save so it formats. What? It's not auto formatting for me? Must have messed something up too much and now it's breaking it. Breaking my formatting. I'm going to get rid of this. Do we have an extra thing in here that we don't need? Interesting. Alright. I'll sort that out in a minute. Alright, so what we need now is to be able to say, so if the count equals number of seats, then what we need to do is save these seat numbers to let's make this, let's make another variable up here and let, these are going to be potential seat combinations, and potential seat combinations is going to be an array. And so now if the count equals number of seats, then we're going to do potential seat combinations equals, and we're going to do potential seat combinations plus seat numbers, right? Yay, plus seat numbers. So what we should have here is an array of arrays of objects. So what we should be able to do though is then loop through each of those and then run whatever we're going to use for our Manhattan distance through each one of those seats. Let's look at Manhattan distance at this point. Where did I have this? I know I had the documentation open for it. Let me find it. There it is. Okay. So let me bring it over here. Alright, so here's our Manhattan distance. Oops. Okay. There we go. So what we'll do is to distance, and we'll take the distance between two, points in the array, and then it will give us a number, right? So in this case, I don't know if is this representing this, but anyway, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we add up all the numbers that we get per set of potential seats, whichever set of potential seats has the lowest number, that's the one that we actually want to reserve. All right. So let's do that. So once we get through all of our combinations, so let's see where we're at. So at the end of this loop, once it gets through everything, then we should have an array of all the potential combinations. So first thing we'll do once we get outside of that loop is say if potential seat combinations dot length equals we'll say is not greater than 0, then I'll clean up my syntax. Hold on. If it's not greater than 0, then let's console log, and let's see. Say sorry. There are not any. Let's see. Sorry, we cannot fill that request. Okay, so we console log sorry, we cannot fulfill that request, right? Alright, cool. And do we still want to be able to say how many open seats are left? Yeah, let's do that. So then let's do seats remaining. So we're going to call seats remaining and say we're just going to pass an array to that. Great. So then what that'll do is return how many seats there are, and then go back and then restart this prompt so the user can try again. Maybe if they wanted 5 seats in a row, now they'll try to get 2 in a row and then try to get 3 in a row. They'll give them a chance to break things up a little bit. Okay, so we'll give them that. Now, else, this is the fun part, else it's, what is this? Non-null assertions cannot be used. Oops. It's not. Let's see. Alright, fine. We'll just do equal to 0. Because it should be 0, right? I'm losing my mind. Hold on. Let's go with, let's test equal. Okay, great. Just wanted to test that out. You never know. Those are the things that, like, you probably dealt with that forever, but, like, for so long, but you just don't remember for sure. Like, does an empty array return 0, or would it return null, or what? Alright. So, else, we are going to run our Manhattan thing, because that means there's Actually, we could have another thing, right? So let's do else. We'll do an else if, right? Else if the length equals 1, then we won't bother running our Manhattan distance, right? So if it equals 1, then we're just going to call this seat numbers, right? And let's see. We're going to call reserved seats. So instead of seat numbers, though, we want the potential, potential seat combinations, and we want the first array. I'm sorry, the 0th array, because we're 0 indexed, right? So if we only have 1, then it's safe to just put in 0 there. Okay, now else, this is where we need to do a comparison. So else, we're going to run this potential seat combinations, and we're going to do a dot map, and for each combo, let's just say item. Yeah, for each item, we're going to run our Manhattan. Is that how we spell it? Manhattan. So we're going to run a Manhattan. And the first one is going to be our seat, our ideal seat, which we named optimum seat. Should it be optimal or optimum? I don't know. I'll stick with optimum for now so I don't have to change anything. Or maybe I'll look that up. Optimum seat, and then we're also going to say item. Alright, so the item is an array of objects. So we're going to have to do this for, yeah, hold on. We're also going to have to say item.map. Can we map inside of a map? I never did this, but this is starting to get Inception-like here. Seat is going to equal, so this is where we're going to do our Manhattan stuff, because we need seat. So we need that optimum seat, but then we also need seat dot row and seat dot, what was that? Seat dot row and seat dot column, right? Okay, because we're supposed to have 2 arrays. Let's make sure the optimum seat is in the right format. Optimum seat, math round, array, dot length, that's it. Alright, so the first row, length, that's not, what the heck am I doing here? Alright, so this should be an array, and the first value in the array should simply be 0, right? Because we want the first row. And then the second value in the array should be this, right? Alright. Okay, so now we'll have 2 arrays in here being passed in. So we should get back a number. So what we can do then is within here we can set Let's do let Manhattan total equal, at first it's going to just be 0. What the heck is all this? As expected. Whoops. Okay. Let Manhattan total equal this, and then inside of here, we're going to say Manhattan total equals Manhattan total plus that value. See, so now it's going to go through each seat. It's going to give us that number, and then at the end, we're going to have this Manhattan total. Let's see, what do we need now? Oh, I see there's a comment in here. Let me get, I don't want to wait too long. Andrew says, hey Jesse, the Visual Studio Code plugin Quokka, Quokka.js might be really helpful here for you. It's a live scratch pad of your code right in the editor. Cool, I'll have to look that up. I'm going to copy and paste that into my browser on my other screen here. Cool. All right, looks cool just from looking at the home page for a bit. Okay. All right, so we are getting that number. Now we need to compare for all the different potential seat combinations. So let's grab I wonder if I could make this a lot smaller. Let's do this. So essentially, because we're going to return anything in here, so we can clean this up here and just say we're going to let Manhattan total equal this. There we go, Manhattan total. Let's see. Equals. Now we're still going to need. Shoot, I think I messed that up by trying to do it like that. Yeah, let's forget that. Let's just do it like this. So at this point, the Manhattan total, once we get down to here, we could compare we need some way to save these in sequential order so we know. So let's just make an array here. So let's say let's Manhattan totals array equals this, and then here we're going to say Manhattan totals array equals Manhattan, oops, dot dot dot, Manhattan totals array, and then, oops, plus Manhattan total. Okay, so what this will do then is it'll keep adding on to the end of the array. Now that we have this, so we've looped through everything and we keep adding it on. Now we're going to go outside of that loop, but we're still within that else statement. Now we'll be able to take Manhattan totals array, and we're going to look for whatever the largest is in there. So let me look up how if there's what the fastest way to find the largest number in an array is. Should we use reduce? I suppose we could. Maybe, can we do this? Let's get the let's try this. Let's go. What we really need to find is the index of the largest number. Index of. Oh, my wife's calling me. Hold on a second. Hello? Hey. What? Yeah. Right now? 2:45. Okay. I'll do it by 2:45 then. Oh, are you at your parents'? Oh, okay. Okay. Not bad. I've been live streaming the whole thing. You're on the live stream right now. And yeah, I'm almost there. I think I'm almost there. All right. Congratulations. All right. Love you. Bye. Okay. That was my wife. She said she just wrote a tic-tac-toe game in Ruby. She's learning how to code, so that's cool. Also, before sometime in the next half an hour, I need to go put something in my driveway for somebody to pick up. So, can't forget that. But right now, I want to finish this. All right, so we need the index of so we need the math dot max and then array. Okay, so this should give us what we need, and when we combine that with index of No, I'm not going to combine it there. Sorry. Let's go with let's. Oh, we want the minimum value, right? Min value equals VALUE equals math min, and then we can do Manhattan. No, we want potential seat combinations. Potential seat combinations dot index of, and then min value. So we actually could do this. There we go. So potential seat combinations, index of math. And so this will give us the array that we need. And then we can put in our seat numbers. And so actually this will do. So we don't want seat numbers, we want potential seat combinations. All right, now that's way too big. I definitely need to break this up, but what should happen is that we are selecting the array inside this array of arrays. So we're selecting the array item that has the seats that we want to reserve. And then we're mapping over them and actually reserving each seat. All right, and then what should happen as we map over each seat is that it will, let's find where we have our seats. Is it find seats or reserve seat? Reserve seat should run, and it should return seats remaining every time, which we don't really want that. We might want to make another version of this because we're going to get spammed with all kind of stuff, but I just want to see if it works. If it works, I'm going to be really surprised because I just did a lot and without checking it, so we'll see. Yep, unexpected token const in where const seats remaining. Okay, so this is my. Oh, it's still this thing. I forgot something somewhere. Haha, did I just, if it's that simple, I'm going to be really happy. Alright, let's say we have 5 rows and 5 seats in each row. And what row is seat you like to reserve? Let's reserve row 2, seat 4. Great. Now, it's supposed to ask me another question. It didn't last time, so let me try putting in a value and say that I want 4. There we go. For some reason, it's not showing me that question until I type something. Oh well. Let's say I want 4 seats in a row. It says, sorry, we cannot fulfill that request. So we got all the way to here. But it came through and said potential seat combinations length equals 0. So why didn't anything get added to potential seat combinations? counts. So our problem is somewhere in here. Zero. All right. There's a couple things in the live chat. I'm gonna give my brain a slight rest here to look at the live chat. All right. Nikki says some word that I'm not sure how to pronounce. It says in English, that's kind of like a little greetings to her or something like that. Better translation is give my regards to. Oh, okay. I will do. She'll be home. She's supposed to be home already. It's kind of good that she's not, since I'm not done with this. But the baby is sleeping at her parents' house, so she doesn't want to wake the baby up to come home. All right, so let's talk through this to see where the problem was, because that should have worked, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So I mean, we should have been able to have consecutive seats right here in a row. So number of seats, let's check it out, would have came in here under find seats, right? And then it went all the way down to here. So we start out with nothing, and then for this particular row, we're going to go through as long as j equals 0, as long as j is less than the length of this array, which the length of this array should be 5, right? Yeah. So if this seat equals 0, we're going to increase the count by 1. And then if this seat is the last seat in the row, or this seat, oh, I see. We shouldn't have done count 0 here, because every time it got to the last seat in the row, it would have just reset it to 0. So every time it would have been 0. That's our problem. Okay, so what should happen then is if no, it should have worked. It still should have worked. Oh, wait a second. If yeah, okay. We're doing the wrong thing. So what should happen here then is, so we get the length, which would be 5. So we'd have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 would be the last one. So if it's array I, if this, sorry. Should be J. If J plus 1 is equal to array.length, all right, yeah, so if this is the last in the array, but this needs to be moved down to here, right? So if it still increases the count, we want that. That's good, and we want to add it to here, right? So seed numbers row. So down below here, then we want to do this. Is j equals 1 array.length. I remember why we wanted to do this. This is going to be an and. So if this is the last one, then we're going to do this check, right? Oh, I'm sorry. If this is not the last one, that's right. I remember being really confused when I first did this. I lost my train of thought and confused myself. So we only want to check the next one in line if there is a next one in line. So this part is simply checking if there's a next one in line. So if this is the end of that row, we're not even going to bother doing this check. But if it is the end of the row, and I'm sorry, wait a second, j plus 1. Okay, so if it is not the end of the row, but the next seat is taken, we're going to reset it. But this needs to be down below, right? Because otherwise, what did I do? Okay. So otherwise what would happen is we would not get a correct count. So we need to check this first. All right, let's try that now. So I'll probably have to run this again, so let's cancel that. Oops. Can I? Whoa. Oh no. I accidentally just quit the program. Alright, let's reopen that. There's my terminal. Good thing I had a terminal open on another screen so that I could just open this quickly. Okay. And I'm really glad I saved too. Uh-oh. I'm starting to drop frames. Let me know if the video quality is getting bad. It looks like this is starting to be too much for my computer. I'm going to start closing out windows that I don't need. Okay. Okay. What's all this stuff? Want it to be on the same line. Okay. Alright, now let's try it. 5 seats, 5 rows, 5 columns. What row is seating you want? Let's try row 3, seat 3. How many seats would you like? Oh, there we go. That's why I wasn't seeing it, because it was going up here. I need to quit printing this out every time. Alright, let's say 4 again. Run it. Alright, and they still can't fulfill my request. Okay. So when we get to here, what I'd like to see then is console log potential seat combinations. Okay. Alright, I'm messing things up right now. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, so there is nothing in there. Well, I'm gonna have to I gotta get up and go put something in the driveway. So I think I'm gonna end the stream, and then if you want to see eventually what I do when I figure it out, you can always check out the repo. So close. I just need to figure out what I'm doing wrong in here. I think I'm gonna add in some more console logs and just see what's happening at each step, and that'll let me know probably like exactly where the problem is. If it can narrow it down to like 3 lines or something, then that'll be a lot easier to debug. So that's what I'll do. I'm gonna find the problem, and then hopefully it'll work. After that, the next step is I probably won't have time to do it But what I'd really like to do is make a front end, so probably React. Maybe I'll just do something with Create React App, really simple UI, and connect it to here, and turn this into more of like an API, so that it'll basically function the same way. It'll just send everything to React. Alright, well, it was nice hanging out with you all for the last 2 hours. I don't know if anybody's been here for the whole 2 hours, but anyway, that was nice. I'll probably be back on Free Code Camp's channel on Monday at some point with a live stream. And until then, I hope everyone has a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you Monday.